What's up you guys, welcome back. We're back today with another cognitive accessibility review, this time with the super cute Immortals Fenyx Rising. This isn't your ordinary review. I'm going to be reviewing the game from an accessibility perspective, particularly for those of us with cognitive impairments. So if you want to know more about cognitive accessibility and what that means for video games, please do check out my Cognitive Accessibility 101 video right here, or click the link in the description below. Immortals Fenyx Rising is from the same team that worked on Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I absolutely adored, as most of you guys know. So I've been super keen to take a look at this game. They took all of the wonderful, rich Greek mythology stuff from Odyssey and put it into this gorgeous action-adventure game. It's big on storytelling, it's also got combat, it's got puzzles. It's been compared a lot to Breath of the Wild, and there's definitely a lot of similarities, but there are some really key features in Immortals that made it more enjoyable for me. I'm somewhat ashamed to admit that I couldn't get into Breath of the Wild. I was constantly getting lost or forgetting what I was meant to be doing or where I was meant to be going, and there's very little in terms of mission objectives, quest tracking, reminders, all that kind of stuff. And if you're someone like me with memory problems, then that kind of game can be really challenging to play. So I played a few hours of that and never went back to it. Immortals has managed to do for me what Breath of the Wild couldn't, in removing some of those barriers and making it super enjoyable and rewarding to play, and I will explain why. When you start the game, you're given a choice of several difficulty modes, and what I loved about this is it actually gives you a lot of detail on what those difficulty modes actually mean, which systems or mechanics they affect, and what the player can expect, meaning they can make an informed decision. This is something I felt was missing from some of Ubisoft's recent games, like Watch Dogs Legion and Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I think a lot of people can feel kind of overwhelmed by making this decision without any kind of context or information, especially neurodiverse players, so I really dig that they've made it super clear. There aren't any subtitle presentation options at the beginning of the game, and the default font is pretty small with no background, but you can change this once you get started. It's pretty limited. There are only two sizes and one background option, but the biggest size is actually pretty decent and it passed my sitting on the sofa test, so I'm pretty happy with that. Unfortunately, you can't scale any of the other text like you can in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and the mission objective text can be a little tricky to read at times, so that's a bit of a shame. The navigation in the game definitely takes some elements from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. You can use your far sight to scout ahead and reveal markers on the map, which is something I love and something that I'm still mad about not being in Valhalla. There's still a focus on exploration and discovery. It just makes it more approachable and helps players decide what they want to do and where they want to go. I tend to struggle with puzzle elements in games, so I was so relieved to see so much puzzle assistance in this game. In the gameplay menu, there are various puzzle helpers you can turn on, so you can get the level of help that you really need, and it even gives you a preview of how this will look before you decide whether to select it or not. The puzzle captions are super helpful. When you complete an action like pulling a lever or activating a torch, it'll tell you what effect that has and where it's coming from. That's something I really appreciated. In a lot of other games, I can get super frustrated because sometimes I can't see the result of my action, so I don't get any feedback on whether I'm doing the right thing or not, and that can get pretty frustrating. The buttons have symbols on that indicate how heavy an object you need to place on it, and it also lights up according to how much weight is on it, so if your item isn't heavy enough, it will light up just a little bit but not activate all the way. Having these visual cues in place is really great, and things like the lights give the player clear feedback so they know if they're going in the right direction or not. There are also verbal cues in the game that help guide players. For example, Fenyx might say something like, "That wall is crumbling, I wonder if there's a way to break through it." All of these cues combined make for a really helpful system where players can figure out what they need to do and get little bits of feedback along the way, and it's really satisfying. I haven't felt frustrated or annoyed once, but I also don't feel like I'm being patronised in any way. I think they struck a really good balance with it, and I found the puzzles super enjoyable and rewarding for once, so a massive thank you to the team on this. I really love it. The combat is very similar to Valhalla. A lot of the buttons are actually exactly the same. RB for light attack, RT for heavy, X to dodge. And familiarity is actually a really helpful aspect of control design. It means that players can learn the controls quicker because they've already got the muscle memory there. And there probably is a lot of crossover with Valhalla players because of the success of Odyssey, so it makes a lot of sense. Playing on normal mode, the combat animations give me plenty of time to respond, which is something that can be quite challenging in some games, especially if your disability means that your reaction times are a little slow. In terms of memory, the game does a great job at reminding you of things, whether that's control reminders popping up on the right hand side of the screen when you're doing an activity like swimming or climbing, tracking quests, and having mission objectives on screen. There's also an in-depth tutorial menu which is sorted into clear sections so you can find exactly what you're looking for quickly. There are also lots of great little design elements in the game that are actually really fantastic for players with cognitive difficulties. For example, the various potions have associated colours, so you eat red pomegranates for health and your health bar is red, blue mushrooms for stamina and your stamina bar is blue. It sounds super basic, but these seemingly small design elements are really helpful in creating those associations in your brain, and it can help players quickly decide which one they need to use when they're under pressure. I wasn't entirely sure I was going to like this game, given how much trouble I had getting into Breath of the Wild, but Ubisoft knocked this one out of the park. They made a partly puzzle game kind of accessible to me, and they made things super fun and rewarding to play. Ubisoft have been making some really great strides in accessibility this year, and I really can't wait to see what happens next. I think we're finally in a world where accessibility is being taken very seriously, and game designers are being more mindful of our various differences and working really hard to make games accessible and enjoyable for everybody. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to see more accessibility reviews, hit that subscribe button, let me know what you think of the game in the comments, and I will see you guys next time.